Hey, it's Mr. Clintberg here, your AP coordinator, and I just want to spend a few minutes talking with you about what it means to be doing an AP Physics 1 and 2 challenge. And what I want to first kind of let you know is what it means, why I'm saying this term challenge. It's because we are not offering AP Physics as an in-classroom experience at O'Leary. So it means that it is a bit of a challenge. It means that we're putting a lot of the responsibility on you, the student, to ensure that you are covering the material that's additional to regular Physics 20 and Physics 30 in order to meet the requirements of what AP Physics 1 and 2 are. The other term that you'll hear me use while I'm going through this presentation is referring to it as an exam-only class. And again, that's because there's no in-classroom instruction that's being offered to you, but still, you do have that opportunity that at the end of this school year, towards the end of the school year in May, you will be able to still write the AP Physics exams because you still have covered the content, and we want to give you as much of an opportunity as possible to complete that process and have the experience of having gone through all that material. So, why would a person take AP Physics? I'm going to go over sort of the three main reasons that I hear, and I'm not trying to say that these are the only ones that are applicable, and I'm not saying that you don't have something that might be kind of a spin-off from one of these or your own very separate thing. But these are the three main reasons, and I think they do kind of say a lot about kind of the direction that a person is going after high school and why AP Physics could be of a benefit to them. Because there's nothing wrong with taking just Physics 20 and Physics 30, the Alberta curriculum is really great, and it does cover a lot of material. In fact, there's a lot more stuff that we cover than other places in Canada, and very definitely more than in a lot of high school programs that are regular physics programs in the United States. But if you are looking at doing AP Physics, what I bet is that there's at least a chance that you're planning to go into engineering. And this is actually probably one of the main reasons I hear, because very specifically, AP Physics gives you the opportunity to go through some extra topics like rotational kinematics, fluids, thermodynamics, electrical circuits, stuff that you will not see in a high school Physics 2030 class. But you will be doing that material when you get to engineering. And so if you have a bit of a head start on that, I'm not saying that necessarily you do the AP Physics stuff and you're getting like 100%, but even if it's just that starting point for you, when you get to university and you're in the Faculty of Engineering and they start doing some of that content, you will have seen it before and you're going to be ahead of your peers then. So that's one aspect of it. Second would be that instead of being specifically engineering, you're looking at probably something in the Faculty of Science at the University of Alberta or other places as well. I'm just saying that a lot of our students end up going to the U of A. If you're again doing that, maybe you're not necessarily even thinking of physics as being the major that you're going to have, because if that is the case, I would actually suggest you're going to be doing those courses, anyways. You're not going to use this as an opportunity to try to get advanced placement credit. But again, you're either trying to get that step ahead so that you've already seen some of the content before getting to university, or maybe even something like you're not planning to do a major in physics, but maybe there's even something in the program that you are choosing where they say you can have a 3-credit science elective or something like that, and then that could be credit that you earned from AP Physics. Finally, there is that possibility you just are interested in physics and you want to do some additional material because you find it interesting and you do want to challenge yourself a little bit more. Now, I'd say that's probably one of the less common reasons people give because, to be honest, regular Physics 20 and 30, there's plenty of stuff to do in them just normally. But maybe you do want to push yourself that a little bit further and just see what some other material is that's out there. And that's fine as well. So, what's really going on with 2 classes for AP Physics? This is different from most of the other AP classes because even though you might have taken English 10, 20, 30, It's really that 30 level where you signed up with the College Board and you joined an AP classroom so that you could take the exam, because they look at it as being that course, okay? But AP Physics is broken into two sections, Physics 1 and Physics 2. Now, the simplest thing I can tell you is Physics 1 is pretty much like Physics 20, and Physics 2 is pretty much like Physics 30, but there are some crisscrosses in this. And you'll see that I've kind of tried to do this up with a bit of a color coding for you. Anything that's in black is stuff that's just already part of the regular physics curriculum in Alberta. Anything that's in red is stuff that's kind of crisscrossing between what we think of being Physics 20 and Physics 30 into the lower or the higher level. And then finally, stuff that's in kind of the gold color, that's the stuff that's not in Physics 20 or 30. That's the material that you'd be doing in addition. So if you look at Physics 1, which mostly aligns with Physics 20, you'll see that it starts off, if you're already starting Physics 20 or you've done it previously, it starts with all the kinematics and dynamics stuff and the things that we think of as being sort of fundamental. There's stuff about work and energy and power. Great, that's still like Physics 20. And then the first thing that I'm really saying to you is going to be kind of different, is linear momentum. Now, good news, that's actually the first chapter of Physics 30. So all we're really kind of doing is tugging something down into when you would be doing your typical Physics 20 stuff. And there's actually some stuff that's kind of missing there because we're not doing an entire chapter on like gravity, and we're not doing sort of the some of that stuff that spins off of there, because there's some stuff that we end up playing with formulas in our circular motion stuff. So in that sense, we're bringing something down, but it's not even that, I wouldn't say it's that stressful, because it's material that you would be doing anyways at some point across the Physics 2030 program normally. Then we throw in a couple of extra sections, and I'm listing them as two separate sections because that's the way the College Board sets them. To me, they kind of end up gelling together into one big thing. It's all this stuff about rotational dynamics and rotating systems and energy and momentum. Really, to me, that goes together anyways, okay? So that's material that you can kind of think of it as being an additional chapter on its own. Oscillations, already part of Physics 20, and then fluids. That's one of the things that, again, we're adding in that is exclusive AP content. Now, flipping over to Physics 2, which mostly aligns with Physics 30, I actually suggest that you kind of start off with the thermodynamics stuff. It's kind of separate from a lot of the other things that are in the course. You might as well begin there and just kind of get that cleared out of the way. Then you get into material that's part of regular Physics 30, excuse me, material about electric forces and fields and how they eventually will go into magnetism, but we're going to put a little bit of a space in there where we're going to get you to do electrical circuits before you go on to the magnetism stuff. Electrical circuits years ago used to be in Alberta's curriculum, and then they got rid of it, which I'm kind of sad about because I like that stuff. But again, it's now something that is a AP curriculum thing. Then we get into the magnetism and electromagnetism, geometric optics, and all of that stuff is basically part of regular Physics 30. Waves and sound, that's actually a part that we pull up from Physics 20 that wasn't part of the Physics 1 stuff. And then finally, modern physics, where we have to be a little bit careful because in Physics 30, there's modern physics, but the AP folks actually don't go as far as in depth as what we do in Physics 30. So you're actually kind of like doing part of what we would do for modern physics. So I ask people, what's the catch? Because if you're doing all this other stuff, is there sort of a downside, or is there, some things that you want to be aware of where you don't want to get caught on something that you didn't think you were aware of. So the first and most important thing that I just have to remind you of again is you are essentially acting as an independent learner. You are taking material that I'm going to try to help you with. I have an AP classroom, or I shouldn't say an AP classroom, sorry, a Google Classroom, because I can't get you access to AP material. But I have a Google Classroom where I'm going to be putting up some of my own notes on these extra topics. Because years and years ago, I did teach some AP physics classes, and yes, the program has changed, but I'm trying to get things all sorted around so that it gives you what you need to have some success with the Physics 1 and 2 material. But the responsibility is on you outside of your regular physics classes to make that commitment that you're going to go through that material on your own and maybe show up and ask me some stuff during PDTs for clarification. But it's not like I'm going to have the time to teach entire lessons to you, okay? Second is the O'Leary AP fee. Now, this isn't because you're doing Physics 1 and 2. This is if you're doing anything in physics. And the reason is that anywhere in Edmonton Catholic schools, if you're doing any physics classes that lead to an exam, typically in grade 12, we have a $150 fee that's broken up as $75 in grade 11, $75 in grade 12. Now, anybody that does AP courses, even if they're standalone or challenges like this, has to pay that AP fee. So you will be paying a $150 fee in order to do this. Now, on the flip side of it, remember, some of you are probably already taking other AP courses, right? If you're already doing other AP courses and you're paying that fee, you don't pay it again because the AP fee covers as many AP courses and exams as you do. So you don't have to be worrying about paying it again. This is considered an exam-only section, according to the College Board. And that means that although in a regular AP class that you're taking with a teacher, they can set up an AP classroom with content from the College Board, like they have these things called daily videos and stuff, or they'll have like practice formative quizzes you can do and stuff. I can't give you access to that because the only way to do that is if we were actually teaching it in a traditional classroom and everything. So although I can't do that, one thing I would suggest is when you're studying the AP physics material, if you're like getting stuck on PV diagrams, it's a thing that you have to do in thermodynamics, you could do a search on YouTube. There's an organization called Khan Academy that you might have already looked at for other stuff. You can go Khan Academy PV diagrams, and they'll have a video for it. I can almost guarantee it because they've got hundreds of videos that are related to different parts of AP content. So you can still have that as a resource that you can use as something additional. Finally, the transfer credits. I gotta tell you, one thing that does kind of make me sad is that if you're going into the Faculty of Engineering, and I say that one very specifically, they never offer any transfer credits for anything you do in AP. And it's just their policy that anybody that's coming into like first year engineering, they pretty much hand you a schedule and you're not getting any credits. You have to take every course. But it's like if you're doing AP calculus, you're already ahead then of other people because you're seeing other stuff you wouldn't have seen. And if you're doing the AP physics, it's not that you're getting credit to get out of taking a course, but you've got knowledge that's going to help you improve the chances of getting higher marks in those classes when you do take them first year. That's what I'd suggest there. So, do you sign up for Physics 1 and Physics 2? Well, I'd say just kind of slow down a little bit on that. If you're in grade 11, and I'm expecting you're either currently in Physics 20 or you're going to take Physics 20 in the second semester, just sign up for Physics 1 if you're going to do it. Just sign up for Physics 1 because you're going to do it along-ish while you're doing the Physics 20 material. If you are in grade 12 and you never did, and I should say for those of you in grade 11, when you eventually get into grade 12 next year, that's when you can do Physics 2. Okay, do it when you're doing Physics 30. But if you're in grade 12 right now and you just didn't know about this previously and you've never done any of the AP physics stuff, yeah, you can sign up for Physics 1 and Physics 2. But understand that is putting more responsibility on you, because now you're doing additional content from both of the courses. You're essentially covering 4 extra chapters-ish worth of material instead of 2. But that's okay. And then it would just mean that in May of this school year, you're writing 2 exams, Physics 1 and Physics 2. It means that you have to make that sort of a commitment, though. So what are the next steps? Well, first thing I can tell you is you don't necessarily have to decide today. This is something that I know you might want to think about. Maybe talk with your parents, maybe talk with somebody that went through the Faculty of Engineering and what sort of topics they were covering, or something like that. There can be a discussion that's involved with this. You can even come and ask me for some extra information if you want. Maybe you want to know something like, what does the University of Alberta offer? Because most of our students go there. Right now, in the current documentation they've got, if you write Physics 1 and 2, so you have to do both, and you get marks of 4 or higher on both of them, you get credit for Physics 124 as long as you're in a program where you can get that credit, not engineering, okay? Anyways, that's the sort of stuff, though, you might want to come and ask me about, and that's cool. If you do decide that, yes, you want to do it, there is 2 steps to this process. If you don't already have a College Board account, because maybe you haven't done any AP courses previously, you're going to have to create a College Board account. Then, when you've done that, you have to join the Physics 1 and or Physics 2 AP classes. And I'm not saying that you got a class where you're sitting in here with people, but it's got this thing called a join code. And I do have to stress that we do need to get that done relatively soon, because as we get into October, I have to ensure that all registrations for everything have been completed, and doing these challenges counts as sort of like a first semester thing where I have to have everything done. And before I hit the submit button on my side, I have to know that all the students have completed the entire process of signing up, both creating their College Board account and using the join code. So it's something that I'm basically saying I'd want you to get it done before October 1st. And that way I'm guaranteeing that, we're getting in under my deadline. And if you want to, you can certainly come to me and say, Clintberg, can you verify that, I did it properly and I'm in there? Because I do want to make sure that if you think you're in it, you are truly in it. Because sometimes people don't finish the process of doing the join code correctly. So if you are thinking of doing this, you can scan that QR code directly or just type in that web address, myap.collegeboard.org. When you go there, you go through the whole process of creating an account. Please remember a few things. You cannot use your ECSD school email. You have to use a personal one because they have to be able to contact you after you graduate from grade 12. When you're putting in all the address information and stuff, please make sure you check the box that says you're outside the USA and that the country is shown as Canada. Otherwise, it keeps asking you for zip codes that you can't enter. Also, when it gets to the point where you're looking going, I have to put in a zip code for the school, no, you do not. Just go to the drop down where you start typing in Archbishop O'Leary, and you'll see Archbishop O'Leary is there without an apostrophe, no space, lowercase l. Yes, that's us. Make sure you select that. And finally, when it starts asking you about putting in your student ID, no, you don't need the one from your ID card. That's only if you're in the States, because there is a whole bunch of stuff that links up the AP program and being a registered student in one of their schools. There's benefits that happen for the school as far as even things like funding they might get from their state, but that's not in Canada, so don't worry about that. Once you've completed that and yay, it says that you've got your account set up, then you're going to be using those Physics 1 and Physics 2 codes, depending on which ones you're joining for this school year. And once you've joined one or both of those, depending on what you're doing, then you'll see just below that, I've also got the Google Classroom code for me, where I've got some of those extra materials so that you can go and start looking at some notes on thermodynamics. Also, you can go to our bookstore and sign out this handy dandy AP Physics textbook, which I will warn you is not exactly the most readable book that you'll ever get. So I'm going to suggest you mostly use like my notes. And then if you're kind of looking for an extra resource, you can read some stuff in here, maybe do some practice questions. Check for those Khan Academy videos on YouTube. And then finally, there are books out there that you can buy, and I'm not trying to tell you have to run out and spend a bunch of money, but there's a set of books called Barron's. There's another one called 5 Steps to a 5. They are books that are meant to help people as they're working through studying for AP classes and their exams. You can certainly buy those. Just make sure that if you do that, you ensure that they are for the current year's program, because they do change from year to year, and especially this year, 2024 going into 2025, where the exams are being written in May 2025, the College Board has changed the physics program. So there's enough change that you can't at all use last year's in any sense. But they are handy. They give you sort of, be careful of this, sort of notes, as well as they usually have some practice exams you can try. So if you have any questions, please come and ask me. If you are planning to sign up and you just want to confirm that everything went through correctly, yes, please come and see me. And otherwise, I wish you luck. Have yourself a good day.